Apocalyptic rainstorm. The air raid siren blares across the city. Experts predict the city will be completely submerged in 12 hours. Please take shelter. Stay away from hills and rivers. Then, the apocalypse arrived. People fell like dumplings into a pot, dropping into the flood and dying. And I was locked in by that cheating couple, locked the door, watching helplessly as the rain grew heavier, flooding the whole room. Finally, I died in despair in the water. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderbolt struck from a clear sky. I jolted awake and realized I was dozing off on the counter of a hot pot restaurant. A summer special sticker was on my forehead, reading, "Snow beer, buy one get one free." The sunlight outside was blinding. The weather forecast, the sweet voice of the female anchor, came from the old TV. The next 3 days will see a heat wave. I was reborn. Reborn 3 days before the apocalypse. Memories came flooding back. In my past life, the rainstorm apocalypse, Lin Xian led a group to smash open my hot pot restaurant, and hanging on his arm was my fiancée of 3 years, Su Wan. She was wearing the limited edition heels I gave her, and stepped on my broken wrist. She smiled sweetly. "Xiaobai, your supplies would be wasted here. Xiang will take me to a safe house." So they had been together all along. Those nights, she said she was working late, those excuses to cancel dates, were all lies. As I was thinking about my past life, a familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. "Boss, is the beer promo still on?" I looked up sharply. I saw Lin Xian with a cigarette in his mouth, tapping the counter. And outside the glass door, Su Wan was getting out of a BMW. She wore a designer dress, in her hand, carrying a newly bought bag, and all of it was paid for by my card. Suppressing the surging hatred, I forced a smile. "Xian, Wan, I was just looking for you." I lower my voice mysteriously. "My hometown is being demolished. They're paying this amount." I hold up 3 fingers, enough to buy a villa. Su Wan's eyes light up instantly. "Really? Which villa?" "Riverside 1 top floor duplex." I lie. Observing her expression, the safe house Lin Xian took over in my past life is right there, but I'm still short 800,000 for the down payment. Wan first, transfer the investment money I left with you to me. In a week, the final demolition compensation will arrive, and I'll pay you back double. Her eyes flicker. "In such a hurry? Can't afford not to be. A lot of people are eyeing that apartment." "I wanted to surprise you." Seeing Su Wan still hesitating, Lin Xian leans in and says, "Su Wan, Xiaobai is doing this for you. You need to think bigger." He winks at Su Wan, the hand behind his back, sneakily pats Su Wan's butt. "They think I didn't see these little moves." Su Wan catches on, immediately pulls out her phone. "I'll transfer now." When the confirmation text arrives, Lin Xiang is leaning on the counter, smiling at me. "Bro, you're something. Don't forget, then invite us to a party at the villa." "Hey bro, I'm heading out." Lin Xian picks up 2 cases of beer. Su Wan glances at Lin Xian holding her forehead. "Something came up at work. Can't keep you company today." I nod with a smile. "Okay, don't work too late. Less overtime. Bad for the skin." Seeing my usual concern, Su Wan smiles in the distance. Their intimate silhouettes catch my eyes. My fingernails dig into my palms. 1.8 million has arrived, plus all my savings, exactly 3 million, enough to build an impenetrable nest. After seeing Lin Xiang and her off, I lock the shop door from inside, because I can't let anyone discover that this inherited hot pot restaurant has a secret. Reborn 3 days before the apocalyptic rainstorm. My fiancé and my best friend plotted to kill me, and I caught them. So I turned the tables and sent them straight to hell. Under the hot pot restaurant, there's a wartime bomb shelter, a full 300 square meters, all reinforced concrete. The only entrance is behind my walk-in freezer. After my family was destroyed in my past life, I finally found the blueprints my grandpa left in his ledger. Too little, too late. First call, the renovation company. Max budget. Add soundproofing to all the walls in the store. All doors and windows replaced with bank vault grade ones. I lied, said I was filming an apocalypse movie. Second call, the seafood market. 500 pounds of frozen meat. 100 cases of hot pot base. A whole truckload of shelf-stable vegetables. The guy laughed and asked, "Boss, switching to wholesale?" I looked at the blazing sun outside. "Yeah, trying a different track." The priciest thing was that German silent diesel generator. Cost me a full $200,000. But when the workers installed the air circulation system in the bunker, I knew it was worth it. The vents are disguised as rooftop billboards. When the world floods, this will be the only air exchange point. Around the outer edge of the hot pot restaurant, I also added retractable ultra-dense protective barriers to block all danger. That night, Su Wan called, acting cute. "Babe, why's the restaurant closed?" "I want hot pot. Renovating gonna make you the most amazing proposal venue." I watched the workers on the monitor. "Once in a lifetime, gotta make it unforgettable." "Okay, you go ahead. I'm going shopping with my girlfriend." After hanging up, I pulled up the full store surveillance feed. 36 hidden cameras, full coverage inside and out, in infrared night vision. The girlfriend Su Wan mentioned was Lin Xiang. The two of them were walking into a hotel, arms around each other. I calmly watched the monitor and kept checking the supplies. Reborn 3 days before the rainstorm apocalypse. My fiancé and my best friend plotted against me, and I caught them. So I turned the tables and pushed them into the apocalypse hell. 500 pounds of frozen meat, 100 cases of hot pot base, 3 large freezers, 5 diesel generators, even stocks of cold medicine that would last 3 years. In my past life, when Suwon snatched my last pack and laughingly said it was worth more than gold now. I stared at the 3 large freezers packed with frozen meat. The little sense of security I had finally felt a bit more solid. But it wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. In my past life, I was so hungry I saw stars, and in the end, for a pack of expired cookies, I would have fought someone to the death. Those memories are too vivid. Food, especially food that can be stored for a long time, is the real hard currency in the apocalypse, more solid than gold. Over the next few days, I almost turned into a shopping maniac. I went to every wholesale market in the city, farmers markets, and supermarkets. Potatoes. These high-starch, easy-to-store treasures I directly contacted the big growers in the suburbs and bought by the ton. Watching bag after bag of dirt-covered potatoes being loaded onto trucks gave me a little more peace of mind. Cabbage, radishes, onions, pumpkins, all the long-lasting vegetables I bought in boxes and boxes and baskets, hauling them to my store. The cold storage was soon packed to the brim, barely any room to stand. Of course, I didn't forget my all-purpose cover story of filming an apocalypse movie. To the curious suppliers asking questions, workers, I put on a miserable director act, and complained, no way around it, the crew is huge, props get used up fast, even the extras need to be fed, right? Gotta stock up on supplies to avoid scrambling later. This excuse seemed pretty convincing. Most people, after hearing it, just smiled and didn't ask further. However, the most eye-catching, and most puzzling, was probably the hundreds of bags of bentonite cat litter I ordered. When the delivery workers, huffing and puffing, carried each heavy bag of cat litter into the store, the looks they gave me became strange. Reborn 3 days before the apocalyptic rainstorm. I caught my fiancé and my best friend plotting against me, so I set a trap and threw them into the hell of doomsday. As the delivery guys were huffing and puffing, carrying heavy bags of cat litter into the hot pot restaurant, they started giving me weird looks. A young worker, wiping sweat off his forehead, finally couldn't help joking, "Hey boss, this is some serious movie setup. Got cat actors? They must have a big role. You probably got enough cats for a whole platoon." Without flinching, I kept spinning my big lie. It's for the plot. Doomsday comes. The hero is lonely, so he gets a bunch of cats for company. Emotional support, you know. Plus, this stuff is super absorbent, and it deodorizes like a charm. On set, it can be used as temporary spill absorbent. Comes in handy. I smirked to myself, this isn't for cats at all. When doomsday really hits, torrential rain, flooding everywhere, the city's sewage system will completely fail. This cat litter is the perfect emergency toilet solution. It'll drastically reduce bacteria growth and odor problems. That's directly linked to a healthy living environment and personal comfort. This investment? It's a matter of life and death. Totally worth it. All these supplies, from tons of potatoes and vegetables to hundreds of bags of cat litter, I had the workers carefully move through that super hidden metal door behind the freezer, down into the underground bunker. Watching the originally vast empty bunker get filled, box by box, bag by bag, bundle by bundle, neatly sorted and stacked, a strange sense of satisfaction and security washed over me. This is my fortress, my lair, the starting point of my revenge, and everything I have to survive. Reborn 3 days before the rainstorm apocalypse, I caught my fiancé and my best friend plotting against me. I turned the tables, sending them straight into doomsday hell. Diesel generator, air circulation system, water storage tank, supply shelves, everything was in order. The next day, June 19th, the day before the apocalypse, I decided to do one last sweeping stock up. The main targets were some seasonings, multivitamins, dried seafood, and some small everyday items that are easy to forget, like lots of batteries, lighters, candles, tape, rope, spare tools, and so on. I drove to the biggest chain warehouse supermarket in the city center. The supermarket was crowded with people, seemingly more crowded and noisy than usual. Probably because of the unusually hot and stuffy weather these days, everyone was squeezing in to enjoy the air conditioning. I pushed a huge shopping cart, weaving through the tall aisles, checking the list on my phone, and tossing things into the cart with precision. Just as I was bending down to grab the last bottle of dark soy sauce on the bottom shelf, a familiar, disgusting voice sounded beside me. "Yo, Xiaobai, what a coincidence. You're stocking up too?" My body stiffened almost imperceptibly, muscles tensing instantly, but I forced myself to relax right away, quickly putting on a flawless, surprised smile. I straightened up. "Qian, what a coincidence indeed. You're shopping too?" I glanced at his shopping cart, and my heart sank. A chill ran through me. It was Lin Qian. His cart had quite a lot of stuff, and the combination was very peculiar. Lots of bottled water, compressed biscuits, various canned meats, canned fruit, and, piled up like a small mountain, a huge stack of toilet paper rolls. Toilet paper. That stuff, under normal circumstances, is a consumable, so stocking up on some isn't strange. But to me, who knew the apocalypse was coming and had just frantically stockpiled all survival supplies, the items in Lin Qian's cart gave off a strong sense of preparedness, even could be said, scarily precise, completely unlike his usual pleasure-seeking, carefree style. A terrifying thought, like a poisoned ice pick, suddenly stabbed into my mind. Could it be that he was also reborn? This idea sent a cold shiver down my spine. My heart raced, almost bursting out of my chest. No, it can't be such a coincidence. God wouldn't play a joke like this on me. I forced down the storm inside me, trying to keep my expression natural, even making my smile seem warmer. Lin Xiang didn't seem to notice my momentary stiffness. Or maybe he did but pretended not to. He smiled and patted the pile of toilet paper in his car. His tone was deliberately casual. Yeah, we're almost out at home. Since I had time I bought extra to stock up. These things don't go bad anyway. He suddenly changed the subject. His eyes glanced at me, with a hint of probing. Oh, by the way, in a couple of days, didn't I say I'm going to crash at your place for a bit? Haha, can't show up empty-handed, just mooching off you. That would be too embarrassing. Embarrassed? I almost let out a cold laugh right there. Lin Xiang would know how to spell shame. In his past life, at my store he'd eat and take run-up tabs, never paid off, always taking advantage. Can't stand losing out. Would he suddenly feel embarrassed and proactively stock up on all these basic supplies? The sun would rise in the west, the river flow backward. Before I'd believe his words, something fishy is going on. This is way off. Alarms were blaring in my head, but my smile stayed put, even laughed it off with a hint of reproach. Xiang, what are you saying? You're being too formal. We're tight. I'm thrilled you're coming. You don't need to bring anything. I have everything. More than enough. I deliberately patted the stuff in my car, that pile of goods. Look at mine, I bought a lot too. Enough to last us a while. No, we still need to follow etiquette. Can't show up empty-handed. Lin Xiang smiled hypocritically, but his eyes were like searchlights, scanning my expression and my similarly packed shopping cart, subtly darting back and forth. I can feel him scrutinizing me. I can't stay any longer. Another second, and I might slip up. I have to leave right now. Go back and reassess everything. If he's also been reborn, then all my plans could be in danger. Oh, Lin Xiang, if you didn't mention it, I almost forgot. I slapped my forehead, pretending I suddenly remembered something urgent. The store just called, said the freezer delivery arrived. They're urging me to go back and check. Look at my memory. I need to get back right away. Otherwise, they might get anxious waiting. As I spoke, I pushed the cart and hurried toward the checkout. Not even bothering to arrange the stuff in the cart. I just wanted to get out of his sight as fast as possible. In such a hurry? When can't you check the freezer? Lin Xiang called out behind me. His voice still sounded warm, but with a hint of barely perceptible suspicion and probing. Otherwise, they'll be waiting. Talk later. I'll pick you guys up later. I replied loudly without looking back, almost jogging with the cart. Check out, load the car, drive out of the supermarket parking lot. All the way, my brain felt like it was thrown into a high-speed blender, spinning and analyzing wildly. Lin Xiang's behavior was too abnormal. The types of supplies he bought, the quantities, and his embarrassed excuse, all seemed eerie. If he really has also been reborn, how much does he know? Does he know my hot pot restaurant is a base? Does he know about the underground bomb shelter? In the past life, on the third day of the rainstorm, he led people to smash open my warehouse door. At that time, he probably didn't know the secret of the shelter. But if he's also reborn, will he strike earlier? What about Suwan? Does she know? Have they already teamed up? Countless questions coil around me like venomous snakes, making it hard for me to breathe. I'm driving, watching carefully through the rearview mirror. After confirming no one's tailing me, I finally breathe a little easier, but that sense of danger hasn't faded at all. Back to my already renovated hot pot restaurant, like a steel fortress. After double-checking no one's watching, I quickly open the small door in the reinforced rolling shutter, drive the car in, then immediately lower the door and lock all the mechanisms. A sense of security instantly wraps around me, but I don't let my guard down at all. First, I check the feeds from all 36 hidden cameras. Inside and outside the shop, every angle, carefully, confirming no unusual activity or unfamiliar faces. Then, I go down to the bomb shelter. Walking through the dense mountain of supplies, I count the reserves enough to last me years. The restless heart, stirred by my chance encounter with Lin Xiang, finally starts to calm down, forced down by the security of reality. Slowly settling. Whether Lin Xiang has reincarnated or not, my fortress is already initially built. Supplies are abundant. Defenses are solid. It's ready for whatever comes. I can handle any threat. If he dares to come, I'll make sure he never leaves. Just as I'm trying to calm myself with reason, the WeChat notification sound suddenly goes off. In the silent shelter, it sounds especially clear. It's Suwan. Honey, when are you going to propose to me? We agreed, remember? When are we getting the marriage certificate? I'm so excited I can't sleep. I'm just waiting for that day. Looking at this overly sweet, fake-loving words, my stomach churns. Nausea rushes up to my throat. In my past life I was fooled by that seemingly innocent face taken for a ride, ending up with my family ruined and lost. She then sent another message. Her tone carried a hint of testing and a barely noticeable accusation. Where have you been these past few days? You haven't been back to our place. And your phone keeps going to voicemail. You just say you're busy. Are you seeing someone else? After I was reborn, just thinking about her and Lin Qiang in the house I bought, on the bed I bought, makes me so sick I can't sleep at night. I already moved into the hot pot restaurant. Looks like she noticed I haven't been back, and is getting suspicious. I let out a cold laugh, suppressing the surging hatred, my fingers quickly typing on the screen, my tone mimicking the old playful, doting scolding. Silly, what are you daydreaming about all day? I've been secretly looking at sports cars for you these past 2 days. Didn't I say before I was going to get you one as a gift when I proposed? I wanted to surprise you. To deal with someone as vain as her, you have to dazzle her with the most extravagant way. Really? Honey, you're the best. Love you, moi. What kind of car is it? Porsche? Or Maserati? Su Wanqing replied immediately, followed by a string of hearts kissing and luxury emojis, her eagerness almost bursting out of the screen. Secret, I'll take you to see it this afternoon, then you'll know, I promise you'll love it. I kept dangling the carrot, my heart ice cold. Alright, I gotta get back to work, I'll hit you up in the afternoon, okay? You're the best, honey. Waiting for you. I tossed my phone aside, as if it were something dirty. My gaze landed on the shelter wall, on the electronic calendar hanging there. June 19. Until the predicted storm completely submerges the city, less than 24 hours left. The air is stifling, suffocating, as if brewing a madness that will destroy everything. I suddenly remembered I still have some everyday clothes, a few items of sentimental value, and all the important documents. ID card, household registration booklet, property deed, especially the originals of those high-value personal accident insurance policies, still sitting in that so-called home. I have to get those things back, especially the insurance policies. I can't let them fall into the hands of that scheming pair who wants me dead, even though I really don't want to step into that place reeking of betrayal and disgust. But to cut off any future trouble and leave them no leverage, I have to go back once, taking a deep breath as if to inject myself with enough courage to face that nauseating scene. I grab my car keys and head out again, to return once more to this place I once thought would be our home, this upscale neighborhood. My emotions are a mess, but mostly I feel a churning nausea. I unlock the door. The house is silent with a stifling air. Suwan is probably out working overtime with Lin Qiang again, or shopping, spending my money. I head straight to the bedroom, just wanting to find what I need quickly. I don't want to stay a second longer. Out of habit, I pull out my phone and open the hidden surveillance app. Way back when I first noticed the subtle signs that something was off between them, I had installed in the bedroom and living room hidden pinhole cameras. Initially, I wanted to catch evidence to see if I was just being paranoid. I never expected to later be reborn. These cameras ended up being my window into their vicious scheme. The screen lights up. The app connects successfully. However, the next second, the high-definition image that appears makes my blood run cold. A bone-chilling cold seeps through my limbs and body. On the surveillance footage, Lin Qiang and Suwan were tangled up on the double bed that belonged to me and Suwan, kissing and caressing each other passionately, making disgusting noises. The scene was disgusting. I was so angry I saw black spots. My fingers trembled uncontrollably. I almost crushed my phone. Even though I already knew about their dirty deeds, even after being reborn, I kept reminding myself with the tragedy of my past life. But seeing with my own eyes this shocking blatant scene of betrayal, the anger of being stabbed in the back by the one I trusted most, and the deep-seated hatred, still surged wildly, like a volcanic eruption, almost completely overwhelming my sanity. My nails dug deep into my palms, leaving bloody marks, but I felt no pain at all. Just then, the two on the bed seemed to pause. Lin Qiang was breathing heavily, holding the limp Suwan in his arms. Baby, tomorrow, like, tomorrow. Hurry up and push that idiot to get the marriage certificate. We can't delay, or things might go wrong. Once the apocalyptic rain hits, the temperature will drop sharply, the flood will surround the city, all the supplies in his hot pot restaurant will rightfully be ours. And all the good stuff he's been secretly hoarding. Suwan nestled in his sweaty arms, and nodded. Qiang, are you sure this is okay? The rainstorm, is it really as terrible as you say? And he really has hoarded a lot of stuff. Could we be wrong? Don't worry, it's 100% reliable. Lin Qiang's tone was resolute, with a hint of smugness from being in control. The source is absolutely accurate. Once the storm hits, it won't just be rain. The sky is falling. The temperature will drop to freezing. Flooding is coming. That fool has been buying stuff like crazy lately, bringing it all back to the shop. I've caught him several times myself. There's definitely something shady under that shop. He's definitely hoarding a ton of supplies. Once we get the marriage certificate, make it official, then we can take him out easily. His money, his shop, all the goods he's hoarded, and those big insurance payouts, will all be ours. Then, I'll take you to the safe house I've already prepared. We'll live it up, ride out the apocalypse in comfort. I'll do whatever you say. Upon hearing this, Suwan, her last bit of doubt completely vanished. A greedy, expectant smile spread across her face. She eagerly offered a passionate kiss. I watched the pair on the monitor, lying brazenly on my bed, plotting my death, dividing up my belongings. My entire body, from extreme anger and disgust, couldn't stop shaking uncontrollably. Good, very good. So that's your plan. So malicious, so meticulous. Get married, legitimize it, kill me, collect the insurance. I was originally just going to watch them fend for themselves in the apocalypse and pay for their betrayal in my past life. I never thought they would have been planning to kill me from the very start. Squeeze every last drop of value out of me. Alright, Suwon, Lin Xiang, you want to play? Then I'll play with you to the end. Let's see who ends up dead. Immense, after the fury that nearly tore me apart, came a cold, almost cruel calm. The towering hatred was forcibly suppressed, compressed into a cold core, sinking deep in my heart, transformed into extreme calm and clear plans. Didn't you want to get the marriage license? Didn't you want the official status? I'll give it to you. I'll give you everything. I quickly opened the closet, packed some clothes I often wear, found all the documents, bank cards, especially those original insurance policies, carefully checked, didn't miss a single piece of paper. Then I turned around without hesitation, like fleeing the plague, rushed out of this nauseating so-called home. Got back in the car, I slammed the door hard, shutting out the stifling air outside. I took out my phone, my fingers, from the lingering excitement, trembled slightly, but I still steadily sent Suwon a WeChat message. Wan, just finished. I've pretty much decided on the sports car, Porsche 911, red top trim, in stock. Do you like it? I cast the bait. Love it. Absolutely love it. Honey, you're so sweet. I just love red. When can we go see it? Then another string of excited emojis. Between the lines, you could feel her ecstasy and eagerness. Was it for the car, or to hasten my death, to inherit my estate? Yeah, see you tomorrow. Get some rest. Expressionlessly, I sent the last message, put down my phone. My eyes were cold as frost. Thought about it. Then from the car's toolbox, I took out 2 new, more covert miniature pinhole cameras and spare batteries. I went back again. While Suwon and Lin Xiang were probably still out fooling around or already asleep, I used my familiarity with the place to silently hide a new camera in the gap of the air conditioner maintenance hatch facing the foot of the bed. Everything was ready. Tomorrow is the moment they walk right into the trap. While they're probably still out fooling around or already asleep, I use my familiarity with the place to silently hide a new camera in the gap of the AC vent right across the foot of the bed. Another one I cleverly point at the main area of the living room and the entrance. I want to clearly see, after doomsday hits, how long those 2 cheaters can still be smug, how miserable their fate will be. After all that, I finally returned to my hot restaurant fortress, locking the door heavily. That night, I slept unusually peacefully, not because of the upcoming wedding, but because all the disguises are in place. The hunt is about to begin. The next day, June 20th, the day doomsday arrives. The sky was eerily dark in the morning, with heavy clouds pressing down. The air was as stifling as a huge steamer, making it hard to breathe. I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time. Suwon was already waiting there, dressed especially seductively. Her face couldn't hide her excitement and anticipation. Her eyes sparkled with longing for the sports car and the future life of a rich wife. When she saw me, she immediately fluttered over like a butterfly, hooking her arm affectionately through mine. Her voice was syrupy sweet. Honey, you're finally here. I've been waiting forever. Almost at the same time, Lin Xiang also appeared out of nowhere, with a fake smile plastered on his face, striding over quickly. Bro, congratulations, a perfect match. On such a big day, I had to come cheer you on, and soak up some good vibes. He spoke so high-soundingly. I looked at him, sneering inside. Was he here to supervise the progress, make sure I jumped into the trap, or to see how I signed the death warrant? I faked surprise and emotion. Qiangji, what are you doing here? You're the best. Just had some business around here. Coincidence, coincidence. What a coincidence. Lin Xiang laughs it off, but his eyes can't help glancing at Suwon with a hint of barely noticeable possessiveness. I sneer even more inside, but I put on a more touched expression. Great, Qiangji. Perfect. Can you take a few photos for us? After saying that, without waiting for Suwon's reaction, I pull her tightly into my arms. Under her stunned gaze, I lower my head and kiss her deeply. Suwon's body stiffens noticeably. She seems a bit uncomfortable, but soon thinking about the sports car and the plan, she forces herself to cooperate, even acting unusually passionate and invested. Her arms wrap around my neck. Out of the corner of my eye, I coldly glance at Lin Xiang. He's holding Suwon's phone, still wearing that congratulatory smile. But the smile is extremely stiff. The corners of his mouth twitch slightly. The fingers holding the phone are turning white from excessive grip, knuckles protruding, especially when I deliberately deepen the kiss, and my hand ambiguously caresses Suwon's back. Lin Xiang's face almost visibly turns green. The jealousy in his eyes, anger, and humiliation almost materialize and burst forth. The vein on his temple even twitches. Good, that's exactly the effect I wanted. Take that. A long, suffocating kiss ends. Suwon's cheeks are flushed, her eyes are a bit shifty. She playfully punches me lightly. You're terrible. So many people are watching. Lin Xiang gives a dry laugh. His finger stiffly presses the shutter. He says good a few times. His voice is dry. The process of getting the marriage certificate goes smoothly. Pictures, signatures, stamps. When that red marriage certificate is in hand, Suwon looks at it, the sparkle in her eyes almost as if she has already seen that red Porsche and the luxurious life after the apocalypse bought with my inheritance. And as I look at her, I see a death sentence, a contract of indenture, but the one executed. The one sold will never be me. Now we're legally married. I put my arm around Suwon's waist, whispered in her ear, my tone gentle as water, but my eyes coldly fixed on the opposite side, Lin Qiang, whose face was ashen. Suwon snuggled up to me and replied sweetly, honey, we'll be together forever. Those words sounded so ironic. Lin Qiang forced a smile and chimed in. That smile was 10 times uglier than a cry. Every word seemed forced through clenched teeth. We walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. The sky grew even darker and gloomier. The clouds hung so low it felt like they might fall. The wind carried a strong, musty, earthy moisture. Qiang, let's grab a meal to celebrate. I know a newly opened place that's good. I deliberately invited him with enthusiasm, just to see how long he could keep up the act. No, thanks. You two lovebirds, enjoy your time alone together. It's your big day, getting the license. Celebrate well. Something suddenly came up at my company. I have to go deal with it right away. He seemed afraid that one more second would make him completely lose control. He almost fled in a panic, his steps hurried, even a bit stumbling. Watching his back, almost like he was fleeing in panic. A cold, sarcastic smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Can't take it already? The best is yet to come. Honey, are we going to look at the car now? Suwon couldn't wait, shaking my arm, looking up at me, her eyes full of longing. I need to go back to the shop first, grab something. This afternoon, I promise I'll take you this afternoon. Go home first, get dressed up, wear your prettiest clothes. Wait for my call, I'll come pick you up. I need to get rid of her. Okay, it's a deal. I'll wait for your call. Suwon didn't suspect a thing, or rather, she was completely dazzled by the sports car. Overjoyed, she kept looking back as she hailed a taxi and left. I watched her get in the car and leave, the smile on my face instantly vanishing without a trace, leaving only a cold chill. I immediately drove back to the hot pot restaurant, parked, but didn't go in right away. Instead, I sat in the driver's seat, staring intently at the surveillance app on my phone, pulling up the live feed from home. Sure enough, within half an hour, Lin Qiang entered the password, opened the door, and appeared in my home. His face was terribly dark, and as soon as he entered, he irritably yanked off his tie. Suwon got home soon too, her face still flushed with excitement. As soon as she stepped in, Lin Qiang grabbed Suwon's arm and pulled her into his arms. Got the marriage certificate. Very happy. You really got into that kiss. Enjoyed it? Huh? His grip was strong. It made Suwon frown. Suwon winced in pain. She pushed him away hard. What's wrong with you? Why are you so jealous? It's just an act. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been reassured and gone to get the certificate so readily. Let's think about what to do next. When is the storm coming? The sky looks weird. What's the rush? It's today. The info is absolutely accurate. When he comes back this afternoon, he stopped walking. Facing Suwon, he made a vicious throat-slitting gesture. His eyes were venomous. The stuff is ready. Don't worry, the knife is already sharpened. It's hidden under the bed. Got tape and rope ready too. As soon as he walks in, can we overpower him? He's tall and strong. I'm always worried. Are you scared? Scared your brother? I can't handle him? Are you having second thoughts? If you are, you should tell me now. What are you talking about? How could I ever feel sorry for him? I just want to be with you. Brother Qiang. I watched the surveillance, listening to them discuss how to kill me. In the calmest tone, I felt nothing inside. Almost found it funny. Sorry to disappoint you. Your perfect plan is doomed to fail. I'm not going back. I coldly turn off the monitor, lock the car, walk into the hot pot restaurant, lock all reinforced doors and windows layer by layer. Finally, descend into the bomb shelter. Thoroughly check the supplies again. Diesel generator and air circulation system, all normal, running well. In the afternoon, the sky is completely dark, as if night falls early. Then, the rainstorm arrives as expected, like the Milky Way bursting its banks. At first, just raindrops as big as beans frantically pound on the reinforced roller shutter door, making crackling noises. Soon they merge into one deafening, continuous roar, as if the whole world is swallowed by this terrifying rain sound. Through the small vent and the surveillance camera, I see the outdoor temperature display starting from over 30 degrees plummeting like free fall. I go down to the warm and bright bomb shelter. Check again carefully. The thick concrete structure is intact. All joints, gaps, have been treated with the best waterproof materials. No rainwater has seeped in at all. The German silent diesel generator is running smoothly. Power supply is stable. The air circulation system is working normally, sending filtered fresh air continuously. The indoor temperature is constant at a comfortable 20 degrees Celsius. On the shelves, food, water, medicine, tools, a dazzling array, enough for me to live for a long time. Here is the only safe haven in the apocalyptic rain. It's a warm, dry heaven. And outside, it's already a cold, hopeless hell. My phone soon rings. The name Lin Qiang flashes on the screen. I looked at the name and hung up. Then, without a second thought, I added his number to the blacklist. Right after, Su Wan's call came in. Same treatment. The world instantly felt much quieter. I opened the surveillance and switched to the home camera. On the screen, Lin Qiang and Su Wan were huddled in bed, wrapped in thick blankets. Their faces had none of the excitement and scheming from earlier. The storm outside the window sounded like thousands of wailing ghosts. Terrifying. They could still rely on the heater for warmth, but the expressions on their faces made it clear. They knew the power wouldn't last much longer. Damn it! The phone won't connect. It's off. Lin Qiang angrily threw his phone onto the thick blanket, making a dull thud. Did he find out something? Su Wan's voice trembled, teary. She gripped the blanket tightly. Find out nothing. Maybe a lightning strike hit the signal tower, or his phone died. He's probably just sheltering from the rain somewhere. Lin Qiang tried to act calm, but the panic in his eyes gave him away. Don't be scared, Wan. He'll definitely come back. He loves you so much. How could he not come back? When he's back, we'll... A fierce glint flashed in his eyes again. He tried to boost his morale with the plan. They started whispering again, plotting how to kill me, and how to split my supplies. Their words were venomous, the details disturbingly clear. I leaned back leisurely in the armchair with a soft blanket, my feet warmed by the electric heater humming below. On the tablet screen in front of me, it displayed surveillance feeds from every corner of the house. The shelter was a constant 20 degrees, warm as spring, and on the screen, that so-called home had become a cold, hopeless cage. In the scene, Lin Qiang and Su Wan are like headless chickens, in the dimly lit, chilly room, rummaging through everything. They lift the sofa cushions, empty the nightstand, even take all the clothes from the closet, and throw them out, shaking each one, hoping to find some forgotten supplies, or the crucial, batteries that could make the AC remote work again. Their movements, because of the cold, are a bit stiff and clumsy. Their faces have lost the scheming and smugness. Only anxiety remains, panic and a pale blue color, from the low temperature. Su Wan, while searching, keeps rubbing her hands and breathing on them. How can there be none? I remember there were spares before. Su Wan cries out, her voice choked with tears. In the empty, cold room, her voice sounds especially shrill. Shut up, you must have mislaid them, and now we can't find them. Lin Qiang curses back angrily, continuing his futile search. Watching their pitiful state, I curl my lips into a cold smirk, pick up the warm teacup beside me, and take a small sip. What a good show. Just then, my phone rings. On the screen, an unfamiliar number flashes. I look at the surveillance video, at Su Wan holding her phone. A mischievous thought comes to mind. I let it ring a few times on purpose, before slowly sliding to answer, and also turn on the recording function. Hello? Who is this? My voice is calm, in stark contrast to the rapid breathing on the other end. Honey, you, where the hell are you? Why aren't you back yet? Su Wan's voice is urgent and panicked, with a hint of barely noticeable testing. The AC remote at home is dead. Batteries. Do you know where the batteries are? Hurry and find them, it's freezing. Oh, I actually forgot about that. When I left that disgusting place, I grabbed every spare battery I could find at home, including the ones in the remote, even the half-used ones, and took them all. Anything that could make them a bit comfortable, I didn't want to leave behind. I deliberately paused, as if recalling something, then said slowly and deliberately, batteries. Oh, you mean that. I stood up, walked to the supply shelf in the shelter, from a box, took out a brand new pack of AAA batteries, removed 2, then, I found a spot with good lighting, held my phone over the 2 batteries, click, took a clear close-up photo. Is this what you're talking about? As I said this, I sent the photo to him, via WeChat. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Clearly he had seen the photo. You took them? What do you need the batteries for? Bring them back, now. It's freezing at home, we can't take it anymore. I chuckled lightly, my tone clearly sarcastic. Bring them back? Sure. Supplies are scarce now. As for the price, $50,000 per battery. Cash or wire transfer, either works. But given the weather, I doubt the banks are open. So you can owe me, write an IOU. $50,000 for 1 battery. Shall buy, are you crazy? This is robbery. Su Wan's voice was so sharp it nearly pierced my eardrum. Robbery? Compared to some people planning murder and theft, my little robbery is nothing. What? Cuddling with your brother Qiang isn't warm enough. Need the AC too? If your precious brother gets frozen, you'd be heartbroken, wouldn't you? My words were like an ice pick, directly piercing through the thin facade between them. The other end of the line went dead silent. All I could hear was Su Wan's breathing, heavy with shock and fear, and in the background, Lin Qiang's muffled indistinct cursing. They obviously didn't expect that I knew every bit of their scheme. You, what are you talking about? Suwon tried to deny it, but her voice was already panicked. No money? Then shut up. Freeze, then. I didn't let him finish and hung up directly. Listening to the busy tone, I imagined on the other end, the two of them, furious, cold and terrified. A warmth mixed with vengeful satisfaction and icy hatred flooded through my body. Nice, so good. This was more satisfying than killing them outright. I knew that right now, they must be like ants on a hot pan. I switched back to the surveillance feed. Sure enough, the two were huddled together, pale-faced, pointing at a phone screen, arguing fiercely about something. Lin Xiang kept waving his arms in frustration. In the owner group, Suwon started pleading in a pitiful tone, asking if anyone had spare batteries, willing to pay a high price. But few responded. Even if they did, they asked for an exorbitant price or just mocked them. In the apocalypse, who cares about neighbors' lives? The rain outside showed no signs of letting up, but grew even fiercer. The sound of rain hitting the windows was so dense it made you anxious. Through the fogged glass, I could see the water downstairs had risen significantly, already flooding the lower floors. Various debris floated on the murky water. The thermometer showed the outdoor temperature was dropping rapidly, already below -10 degrees Celsius, and still falling. A true frozen hell had just begun. After another agonizing few hours, the two on the monitor had wrapped themselves in every thick piece of clothing and blanket they could find. Curled up in the corner of the living room, shivering. Their lips were purple from cold. The air conditioner was completely useless. Indoor temperature was probably near freezing. Lin Xiang tried several times to use a lighter to burn some books for warmth, but gave up due to the thick smoke, which only made the air worse. My phone rang again. This time it was Lin Xiang calling. His voice was hoarse, and he couldn't hide the tremor. There was even a faint plea in it. Gone was the arrogance from before. Shall buy, brother, the batteries. 50,000, fine, we'll buy them. Buy 3. How do we make the deal? The fish finally took the bait completely. I knew they'd cave. In the face of sub-zero temperatures, dignity and money mean nothing. I'd already prepped the goods they wanted. Before doomsday, when I went home to grab stuff for the last time, I not only took all the useful batteries, I also found 3 old ones that were almost dead, voltage too low to power anything. I wrapped them carefully in a plastic bag, and under cover of night, I snuck over to a corner of the complex, near the wall, where no one ever goes, to an abandoned flower bed. I stuffed them under a broken flower pot. It was a carefully laid trap. I wanted them to think there was a chance they could get the batteries, to give them hope, but at the same time, make sure that hope was false, leading to even deeper despair. The deal. With this weather, how am I supposed to deliver them? We can come down and get them. Just tell us where. The water's flooded up to the 2nd floor. How can you get them? Swim over, or find something to paddle on. To survive, they'd try anything. I pretended to hesitate, then reluctantly said, alright, for old time's sake. I've hidden the stuff, right next to your building, by the abandoned flower bed near the west wall, under the broken red clay pot at the back. Go find it yourself. When you do, remember to send me the money. Oh, no, the IOU. Send me a picture. Okay, thanks, brother. Lin Xiang agreed quickly, his voice filled with the joy of a narrow escape. After hanging up, I immediately switched to the surveillance camera that covered the west wall of the complex. Soon after, I saw 2 figures bundled up like they were in a cocoon, moving clumsily in the pouring rain and biting wind. They struggled through waist-deep icy sewage, stumbling over to the abandoned flower bed. Lin Xiang practically lunged at it, frantically searching through it. The two of them acted as if they'd found treasure, clutching the plastic bag tightly, ignoring the freezing sewage, and scrambled back as best they could. In the surveillance footage, they disappeared into the stairwell. I could imagine them getting home, eagerly tearing open the bag to take out those 3 life-saving batteries, and shove them into the AC remote, with such hopeful expressions. Then came the moment their hope was completely shattered. Sure enough, within 5 minutes, my phone started ringing like crazy, as if it were summoning death. It was a video call request from Suwon. I answered the video call with a sneer. On the screen, 2 faces, twisted by cold and rage, were pressed against it, crowding the frame. Suwon's eyes were swollen from crying. Lin Xiang's face was twisted with fury. They looked like they wanted to tear me apart through the screen. Shall buy. You bastard. You animal. What kind of junk batteries did you give us? They have no power at all. Lin Xiang also roared at the camera. You're screwing with us. I watched them fuming with anger. Feeling pleased, I adjusted the camera angle a bit, so the frame clearly showed in front of me the bubbling aromatic, spicy, and mild dual-flavor hot pot. Red oil churning tripe aorta of fatty beef rising and sinking in the pot. I even picked up a slice, drenched in sesame oil and garlic paste, and waved it in front of the camera, then contentedly put it in my mouth. Out of battery. Chewing the delicious beef, I feigned surprise, then said as if a sudden realization, oh, I must have grabbed the wrong batch. The dead ones, those are discounted at $50,000 each. The ones with charge? Those are premium, they cost $100,000 each. What? Out of money? Well, can't help it then. 100,000? Why don't you just rob a bank? Lin Qiang stared with bulging eyes. Curses shot out like a machine gun. All kinds of vicious curses kept coming. Su Wan was also crying and cursing. Cursing that I die a horrible death. Cursing me for being heartless. Cursing that I get swept away by a flood. I let them curse, even move the phone a bit further away so the noise wouldn't ruin my hot pot enjoyment. When they were about done cursing, I leisurely said, "Done cursing? Done cursing? Save your energy to keep warm. Look at this temperature, it could drop another 10 or 20 degrees. After saying that, I hung up the video call and added the number to my blacklist. The world was quiet again, only the tempting sound of the boiling hot pot remained. Not long after, I opened the owner's group chat, which was almost dead. Sure enough, I saw Lin Qiang, using Su Wan's phone, had screenshotted the video of me eating hot pot just now and sent it to the group, along with an extremely inflammatory and hateful message. Everyone, take a look. This is Bai Zheyu, the owner of the hot pot restaurant downstairs. This black-hearted beast, he's hoarded a ton of supplies, and he won't lift a finger to help. We're freezing and starving to death, and he's over there eating and drinking like a king. Is there no justice? Is there no humanity? People like him belong in hell. This message and video were like a bomb thrown into a dying ember. They instantly ignited the last of the survivors' negativity in the group. Curses, condemnations, and morally blackmailing messages came flooding in like a tide. Beast, a real beast. Die a miserable death. Hope you choke on your food. Boss Bai, have you no conscience? We're all neighbors. Open the door. Hand over the supplies, or we'll haunt you even as ghosts. When the rain stops, we're going to smash his shop and eat his flesh. Filthy language, too vile to look at. I calmly watched the curses scroll across the screen. My heart was completely calm. I almost felt like laughing. The last shred of humanity's decency in the face of survival was torn to shreds. I tapped lightly and replied with just one sentence in the group. Then I muted the group chat. It's cold on rainy days. Having some hot pot to warm up feels pretty great. This sentence was like a silent slap across the faces of all those cursing. It also completely cut off any unrealistic fantasies they had. I closed the chat and continued enjoying my hot pot. Outside the bomb shelter was a frozen death world at -40 degrees. Inside the shelter, it was a warm 20 degrees. And from revenge came a strange kind of happiness. Suddenly, my phone started vibrating like crazy. It was that group of owners who had been cursing me. Boss, Mr. Bai, help, please. There's nothing to eat at home. The kids are crying from hunger. Can you be kind and send up a hot pot delivery? Please, I'm begging you. Price is negotiable. Any amount is fine. Boss, open the door. The rain is too heavy. We can't get out at all. Sell us some food, please. Instant noodles will do. Even ham sausages. Brother, dude, we're neighbors after all. Please help us out. I'll pay triple the price. No, 5 times. One after another. It's all SOS messages at ING me. The tone went from pleading to urgent, and even carried a hint of anger. I looked at these messages, and the bitter memories from my past life came flooding back. In the early days of the storm, I too had felt sorry for them, and couldn't bear to watch. Risking my life, braving the freezing cold and the pelting rain, I wrapped the limited food in thick plastic sheeting, and stumbled through freezing floodwaters, delivering to each household. What I got in return wasn't gratitude, but insatiable demands, entitled complaints, and ultimately, brutal looting. 2 particularly aggressive residents even teamed up to break the lock on my shop door, and stormed in to rob me. They called it neighborhood mutual aid, and getting through this together. They even threatened me with a knife to stay quiet, or else they'd deal with me. Thinking of all this, my heart felt frozen solid, leaving only cold rationality and scorn. I just let out a cold laugh, completely unmoved inside, and even found it a little amusing. In the apocalypse, human nature can't stand the test. Too much compassion gets you killed the fastest. A lesson I learned the hard way in my past life. No way I'm making that mistake again. I replied calmly in the group chat. The rain's too heavy. It's too dangerous. The power's out. The reinforced rolling door at the shop is electric. Can't open it now. Can't get out. Sorry. My reply was like a drop of water in hot oil. It immediately sparked more complaints and accusations. How can it not open? Didn't you just replace that door? Such poor quality. Exactly. If you don't want to sell, just say so. Refusing to help? Where's your conscience? You can't do that. We're all from the same neighborhood. We should help each other. Now's the time to stick together. Damn, when business is good, you never close. Now you're playing dead? Now you're playing dead. Some even directly threatened. Not opening in this weather? We'll report you to the authorities. You'll see. Report. The Business Bureau. I almost laughed out loud. Who cares about that now? The rules of the apocalypse have arrived. Suddenly, a message popped up. It was a user named Dawaj. In my past life, he was the one who led the raid on my shop. Damn, why even bother talking to him? Who's he kidding? The apocalypse is here. Who cares about rules? Wait till the rain lets up a bit, just head down and loot the hot pot shop. I bet I can bust the damn door open. This message was quickly retracted, but I caught it, and I'm sure many others in the group saw it too. Grab. I look at my reinforced, bank vault level heavy metal door, and the extremely expensive liftable ultra high density alloy security barrier. A cold sneer curls at the corner of my mouth. I can't wait for you to try. Time to test if my investment was worth it. I don't bother with the moral blackmail in the group chat and their helpless rage. I put my phone on silent. I take out of the freezer a plate of bright red beef rolls and a plate of crisp tripe. I wash some greens, mushrooms, and skillfully light the portable gas stove. I set out my steaming duck pot with bubbling spicy oil and mushroom broth. The spicy oil bubbles, the aroma of chili and Sichuan peppercorns mingles with the rich bone broth, spreading through the air. I casually pick up a slice of beef, swish it in the boiling broth, dip it in the sesame oil and garlic sauce, and put it in my mouth. The meat is incredibly tender. Watching the neighbors on the monitor, their anxious, desperate faces, and Lin Qian, Suwan shivering miserably in the cold, I feel this hot pot is especially delicious, especially warm, especially reassuring. After eating and drinking my fill, my whole body is warm. I clean up the dishes, lean back on the comfortable sofa, and using my tablet, I watch a movie I downloaded earlier. Hot tea is by my side. The storm outside, the wind, and faint, desperate cries for help all become insignificant background noise shut outside. After some time, noisy voices from outside the shop, curses, and heavy banging on the door, even drowning out the rain. I switch to the monitor at the shop entrance. Sure enough, 7 or 8 people in soaked raincoats, holding flashlights, were gathered at my shop door. Some had desperate pleading on their faces, while others looked hostile, clearly annoyed. They had machetes and axes, even a big crowbar, and a fire axe. Boss Bai, open the door. Please, sell us some food. We're starving. Xiao Bai, we know you're in there. Someone saw you reply in the group earlier. You're even having hot pot. Open up. You hear me? If you don't, we'll break the door down. Don't blame us for being rude. Through the reinforced door, I used the hidden, blast-proof intercom I'd installed, and coldly replied. My voice processed, completely emotionless. No way. Get lost. The people outside froze for a moment, as if they hadn't expected me to be so blunt and tough. Then they burst into even greater anger and curses. What did you say? Say that again. You ungrateful piece of trash. Smash it. Break this damn door down. Everyone together. There's plenty of food and drink inside. Smash the door. Everyone gets a share. Axes, machetes, crowbars began furiously hacking and slamming against my door and the outermost alloy security bars. It made a loud, piercing, cringeworthy noise, banging and clanging. But against the super dense alloy, thickened steel plate, and bank vault grade multi-lock system, their efforts were laughably futile. They couldn't even budge the outermost security bars an inch. They hacked and panted, their arms numb from the recoil, but the door and bars didn't even have a visible dent, just some insignificant scratches. Someone changed their strategy and started playing the good cop. Playing the good cop, his voice tearful. Boss Bai, have mercy. Grandpa Bai, we're really starving. The elderly and kids at home can't stand the cold anymore. The kids have cried themselves unconscious. Please, have some compassion. Then someone immediately played the bad cop, threatening viciously. Don't waste words on him. This heartless, capitalist hoarding goods, turning a blind eye to the dying. Smash the door down, everything inside is ours. I couldn't be bothered to listen to this unoriginal act anymore. I turned up the movie volume and went back into the warm, cozy depths of the bunker. The noise and banging outside gradually faded, becoming faint and distant, eventually drowned out by the thick insulation and the sound of pouring rain. I don't know how long passed. The pounding, the yelling, and the banging gradually stopped. The surveillance showed. Those people had exhausted their strength and couldn't budge the door an inch. Even worse, they couldn't withstand the dropping temperature and the torrential rain. In the end, they could only limp away, dragging their tools in despair, supporting each other, stumbling unsteadily into the thick curtain of rain and darkness, leaving a mess behind. A bunch of pathetic clowns. I don't sympathize. I think they deserve it. I suddenly got curious, how are Lin Qiang and Su Wan doing? I switched to the home surveillance, and what I saw made me raise an eyebrow. The house seemed to have been searched, even more of a mess than before. Lin Qiang and Su Wan were having a heated argument, both red-faced. There's still a clear slap mark on Su Wan's face. Her hair is a mess. It's all your fault. You insisted he'd come back, said it was foolproof. What do we do now? Food's almost gone. The AC is about to give out. It's freezing. Su Wan is crying and shouting. Her voice is shrill. Shut up, you bitch. What are you howling about? It's because you're never satisfied, insisting on waiting for some sports car. If we had acted sooner, none of this would have happened. Lin Qian's face is contorted with rage. He shoves her away. I found that pack of instant noodles. Get lost. It's mine. I hid it in my bag. Get away from me. Give it to me. Su Wan lunges at him like a madwoman, scratching and hitting. The two of them are actually fighting over a trivial pack of instant noodles, wrestling each other like two stray dogs fighting over carrion. Lin Qiang, relying on his strength, shoves Su Wan to the ground. Her head nearly hits the corner of the coffee table. Lin Qiang is utterly repulsive. He glares at him, panting heavily. Truly repulsive. Utterly pathetic. I shook my head, turned off the monitor, not wanting to pollute my eyes any longer. Just then, I faintly heard from the direction of the bunker's ventilation ducts a faint, strange rustling sound. It seemed like something scraping against the pipe walls. My heart suddenly leaped. The vent is camouflaged behind a rooftop billboard, extremely hidden. The ducts are also reinforced. Could it have been discovered? Someone trying to break in from here? I immediately became alert, picked up the sharp fire axe that was always at hand. Carefully, along the steps, walked to the entrance of the ventilation duct, holding my breath and concentrating, listening carefully. The sound was intermittent, very faint, not like heavy footsteps or tool sounds made by a person, more like some small animal, weakly scratching and whimpering. I hesitated for a moment, carefully opened the maintenance hatch protective grille inside the ventilation duct, shone a high-power flashlight inside. At the end of the light, a soaking wet mud-covered trembling puppy curled up in a pipe corner. Looked only a few months old, looked like a common Chinese rural dog, nothing but skin and bones, too weak to even bark. Only a pair of dark, shiny eyes pitifully looking at me with a will to survive, letting out faint whines. I breathed a sigh of relief. My tense nerves relaxed, then my heart softened. In the apocalypse, people become demons, killing each other over a bite of food. This little one is tough. I don't know how it got here, yet it survived. I carefully picked it out. Its body was ice cold and still trembling slightly. I dried it carefully with a towel and found some warm milk and minced meat to feed it. The little one was scared at first, but soon was drawn to the food and wolfed it down, slowly regaining some energy. Started affectionately gingerly licking my palm, its tail wagging slightly. Forget it in this lonely apocalypse. It's just you and me from now on. I patted its little head and named it Lucky. In the following days, the storm still showed no sign of stopping, as if it would rain until the end of the world. The temperature kept dropping, reaching as low as 40 below. The world outside seen on the monitor had completely turned into a frozen hell. The power went out. The internet was spotty. Then it went out completely. Outside, everything fell silent. Only the endless rain, the wind, and a deathly silence. Lucky and I stayed in the warm, brightly lit underground bunker with plenty of supplies, safe and sound. I made a nest for it. It was very well behaved, always quietly staying by my side. Occasionally, I'd check my phone, still getting intermittent, delayed messages. In the neighborhood group chat, the usual noise and moralizing were gone. Only desperate cries, scattered messages, and death notices. Through those chaotic, fragmented, intermittent messages, I barely pieced together the fates of some people. Some tried to use homemade rafts to go next door to a complex supposedly better off to loot, but were caught and killed with harpoons and homemade weapons. Some, in despair, burned books and furniture to keep warm, which started a fire. The flames spread quickly in the cramped space with flammable materials. People inside were either burned alive or suffocated from the smoke. News about Lin Qiang and Su Wan came a few days later, from scattered, desperate fragments of conversations between survivors. Apparently, later, their meager food supply ran out entirely. Over a moldy, rock-hard cornbread, they fought again. Lin Qiang completely lost control during the struggle. Grabbed Su Wan, who was crying and cursing, and pushed her down the cold stairs. Su Wan broke her leg and spine, lay in the cold sewage, screaming in pain. No one could save her, and Lin Qiang didn't have a good ending either. It was said he was starving mad, and wanted to risk going out to steal some supplies, or go looking for my non-existent safe supply depot. He ended up encountering another, more vicious group of robbers, and got his head bashed in from behind with an iron rod. He went mad and crazy. In the end, no one knows if he froze to death, starved to death, or drowned in some deep water somewhere. It seems neither of them survived those coldest days. Good deeds beget good outcomes, evil deeds beget evil outcomes. It's not that there is no retribution, but the time hasn't come yet. When the time comes, everything will be repaid. I looked out the window at the still turbulent and murky water surface covered with all kinds of debris, my heart calm and peaceful, without even a single ripple. What you plant is what you reap. They deserve this ending. Time passed day by day in silence and waiting. The storm finally began to show signs of weakening, turning from a downpour to a steady rain, and finally to a drizzling rain. The dark clouds in the sky began to scatter, and after a long absence, the pale sunlight would occasionally penetrate the clouds, spilling onto the chaotic ground. The temperature began to slowly but steadily rise. The cold water surface also gradually receded, revealing the deformed, rotted streets-soaked vehicles and low-rise buildings. A year later, the global ravaging, almost humanity-destroying apocalyptic storm finally stopped completely. The sun shone on the earth again, though it was devastated, with ruins everywhere. In the air, there was still a smell of water and decay, but tenacious vitality was slowly reviving beneath the soil and ruins. I opened the hot pot restaurant's door. It had been sealed tight for ages. Covered in mud, sunlight suddenly streamed in. It was a bit blinding. I took a deep breath of the air mixed with earth and decay, yet so incredibly free. I started cleaning up the shop, sweeping away the puddles, checking the structure. The little dog I had saved and named Lucky had grown quite a bit, had become strong and loyal. It happily followed at my heels, wagging its tail, sniffing around on the wet floor. I smiled, crouched down and patted its sturdy head. "All right, buddy." My voice, hoarse from being alone for so long, was filled with hope. Our new life begins. The Hot Pot restaurant reopens for business. Though there might not be many customers yet, it's a sign of civilization being rebuilt. The floodwaters may have receded, but they left behind thick mud, rotten debris, and a stubborn musty smell. Wearing high rubber boots, I first shoveled out large amounts of mud. Lucky ran around excitedly nearby, occasionally barking at little things it found in the mud. Just as I was cleaning near the entrance, near that reinforced protective barrier, I noticed that in the gap of the railing, a small wooden box was stuck. It was so caked with mud that it was unrecognizable. I struggled a bit to pry it out, rinsed it with water, and found it was a fairly delicate jewelry box. I opened it, and inside was not jewelry, but a memory card carefully wrapped in plastic paper, and a crumpled, waterlogged note with blurry handwriting. It read in scrawled handwriting, "For those who come later, record the truth. Be careful." My heart stirred, reminding me of the chaotic early days of the apocalypse. This might have been left by some desperate survivor in their final moments. The truth? What truth? Confused, I went back to the bomb shelter. There was still power and equipment. I inserted the memory card into the reader, connected it to the computer. Inside were several shaky videos shot on a phone. The first video seemed to be filmed from behind a curtain. You could see the rain pouring outside the window, and the street starting to flood. The person lowered their voice and said, "Day 3. The rain shows no sign of stopping. It's getting worse." The owner of the hot pot place downstairs seemed to know this would happen. He hoarded a lot of stuff. But Lin Qiang and Su Wan, those two, they want to kill the owner and take over the supplies. I heard their plan with my own ears. The second video was really shaky, like it was filmed while running. The background was loud rain and shouting. The camera panned over a group of people holding tools, frantically smashing the door of my shop. Then, the scene shifted to the entrance of a building in the distance. You could vaguely make out Lin Qiang and Su Wan shoving and arguing with some people, seemingly over a spot to take shelter in the stairwell. They can't compete with the hot pot place, so they're starting to fight among themselves. Lin Qiang pushed Uncle Wang down just to get that dry spot. Bastard. The third video was terrible quality. Dim lighting, like in a pitch-black room. The person filming was breathing weakly. No food left. So cold. Lin Qiang has lost his mind. He stole Grandma Li's last half a cookie and hit her. Su Wan's no good either. She stole the medicine Sister Zhang had hidden. They said when the water recedes, they're going to dig up the hot pot owner's secret base. They know the owner might not be dead, and want revenge. The video cuts off here. I watched these videos, speechless for a long time. So, in places I never knew. So many things happened. Lin Qiang and Su Wan's evil is more detailed than I knew, even more despicable. And the person who filmed this, at the last moment, still fought to leave evidence. These videos are a cruel microcosm of those dark days, and a testimony to some people's sins. Although they have received their due punishment, these records should perhaps be preserved in some way. To warn future generations, I carefully put away the memory card. Maybe one day, when order is fully restored, this history needs to be remembered. The cleanup continues. A few days later, the sludge on the streets was roughly cleared into a path. Occasionally, gaunt survivors with terrified eyes cautiously peek out from nearby buildings. Seeing me cleaning the shop, their expressions are complicated: curiosity, fear, and a trace of lingering greed. The aftermath of the apocalypse is still evident. I hung out a simple wooden board and wrote in red paint, "Hot Pot Restaurant reopening, accepting barter, medicine, tools, seeds preferred." The news spread like wildfire. For the first few days, no one came. Later, finally, a brave young man with a small pack of anti-inflammatory medicine, well wrapped in waterproof cloth, timidly came to the shop door, wanting to exchange for some food. I gave him several packs of compressed biscuits and a bottle of clean water. The young man left with 1,000 thanks. Slowly, more and more people started showing up. They brought whatever they could find that was valuable to trade for food, clean water, or basic medicine. My hot pot restaurant, on the ruins of the post-apocalyptic world, actually slowly reopened. Though it wasn't the bustling dining model it used to be, it was more like a small supply exchange. Lucky seemed to like this change too. He stayed loyally by my side, wary of every visitor, but he was no longer as aggressive as during the apocalypse. One day, a man who looked like an engineer came to trade for food. He looked at the sturdy modifications in my restaurant and the independent power system with admiration in his eyes. "Boss, your place is really impressive. It's like a small fortress. How did you come up with it? If it weren't for your place, I guess." He didn't finish, but I knew what he meant. I smiled. handed him some potatoes, and simply said, "Just lucky." I used to tinker a lot. Days went by, and the water level kept dropping. More roads emerged. Official rescue teams and engineering vehicles began slowly moving into the city. On the radio, announcements about restoring order, counting survivors, and rebuilding homes started playing. Hope truly began to dawn. But I never forgot that memory card and the truth on it. After a rescue station was initially set up, I made a copy of the video and anonymously sent it to the staff in charge of record keeping. Those crimes should be known. The lives lost should be remembered, even if just to warn the living. A few more months passed, and basic order was restored. Though still far from full reconstruction, people's faces had more life in them. My hot pot restaurant truly resumed normal dining operations. Though ingredients were limited, the aroma of hot pot once again filled the air, attracting survivors longing for warmth and togetherness. I stood at the door, watching the street gradually come alive. Lucky sat quietly by my feet. The sunset's glow bathed us, warm and peaceful. The hatred and suffering of the past had settled, turning into strength to move forward. The future may still be hard, but at least, we survived. And we have a new beginning.